Greetings, friends. I got a Chromebook. It's the cutest little computer ever. And it's time for the drive home. Yeah, it really is. It's a tiny little thing. It's got like a 10-inch screen, so it's itty bitty bitty bitty. But it's cute and portable. And I wanted something that would be less distraction than a full-blown laptop. So, how are you guys doing today? How was your International Peace Day? How are you just doing in general? I'd like to know. I like to know a lot of things. Nobody puts comments on these videos. Tell me what's going on in your world. So, what can I tell you today? Let's see here. Somebody asked what a Josh Learns to Draw and the Drive Home crossover episode would be. I could tell you that pretty easily. It would be a fiery crash. Just a bloody accident. You don't want me trying to fail miserably at drawing and driving and talking all at the same time. That's just an absolute recipe for disaster. So let's not ever do that crossover episode ever. So an interesting thing that did come up though, or was requested, was is there too many... I'm assuming this is an MMO question. Is there too many DPS? Why are there not more healers and tanks? This was not directed at any particular MMO or game in general. I think this was just overall, why do so many people take DPS and not so much healing and tanking? And how do you fix that? How do you fix that issue? I think part of it is kind of the reward and sense of accomplishment that comes with it. I mean, if you're DPS, the whole point of a lot of video games, MMOs, what have you, is to deal as much damage as possible to the target, because, you know, the quicker you kill it, the quicker you're done with it, and you don't have to deal with it anymore. And therefore, you then move on to getting your rewards and your candy and your presents and your experience and all that other good stuff. So, how do you fix it? I think the best way to fix it would be to actually reward points for things other than just defeating the enemy. Otherwise, everybody's going to want to be DPS because that's how you get your reward points. For healers, they should get a certain amount of experience every time they heal someone. Well, maybe not every time they heal somebody, but over a period of time or something like that. I mean, or maybe just in the same way. It's like, you know, you get 800 experience points for killing an enemy. You get 5 experience points for every 100 points of damage you heal, or something. I don't know. Again, this is all very broad because we don't have a solid game to be bouncing this off of. And also, the funny part about asking me this is I'm not a big MMO player. Really haven't had any that really grabbed my attention. The longest running one I ever played was The Secret World, and the reason for that was because I had a number of my friends who were also playing it, and because The Secret World's world, as it were, was so good. The storytelling in it, the atmosphere, except for Egypt. Egypt was boring, but the rest of it was really, really, really good. It had an excellent atmosphere. It had excellent storytelling. Each of the missions felt pretty personal, and the investigative missions were just fantastic. I still remember when a friend of mine and I were playing one of the first investigation missions in the game, and you pick up like a radio receiver at some point, and all it does is beep off Morse code. And we didn't know Morse code, and it didn't say anything beyond that besides go to the coordinates that you find on the radio receiver. So we're like, oh gosh, how are we going to figure this out? So I actually had to like tab out of the game, pull out an audio recorder, aim it at my computer, replay the audio recorder so that it recorded the Morse code that was being played out of the thing, because again, it was audio. It didn't give you a text response. It didn't give you anything else. You just played it, and it played the audio clip, and that was it. And then I took that audio clip, ran a filter over it so it actually visually displayed the dots and dashes, and then was able to transcribe that and put it into a Morse code translator so that we could figure out the coordinates. And then we got the coordinates from that point, and we were able to follow it and get to the point. And it's really cool. It was just very, very inventive and a very interesting way to make you depend on more than just quest markers in the game. The other MMO I played for about 8 months was EVE Online, which was it's an overly complicated spreadsheet. Unfortunately, it didn't really grab me. I played it for about 8 months, because I wanted to build up to create a corporation that did research and development. And by the time I finally got my character built up to the point where I could run a corporation, but relied on research and development, I found out that it was all done on a lottery system, and you didn't get to design anything. It was just, okay, you have laboratories. Each laboratory you can pump full of scientists, and for each scientist you get one ticket in a weekly lottery for blueprints. It's like, wow, this is really boring. I don't ever want to play this again, and I'm paying for this, so I stopped playing it. I've thrown my hand into a couple of MMOs just for shits and giggles, but never really spent a lot of time in it. Dungeons and Dragons Online, Neverwinter. I played Blade and Soul a little bit, but only because its art was completely based on I think it's South Korean artist Hyung Tae Kim, whose artwork is just amazing. I love his stuff, and so when you have an entire game based off of his artwork, I'm like, well, sure, I'll play it, just for kicks. But none of that stuff lasts very long, and there's just not a whole lot to it. So, back to the question at hand. So how do we get more tanks and healers in? I think there also needs to be a balance. I mean, I know that that's the holy trinity of video games, is those three classes, and I don't know I don't know if there's an actual way to get beyond that, because that's what you react to. I'll bring it up again because it was the one I played. But in Secret World, you had a much more interesting hybrid system where anybody could have every skill in the game, but you could only use 8 of the skills at a time, and only based on 2 weapons. So you would build your loadout or your skill based on whatever 2 weapons you were currently equipping, and the skills based around those 2 weapons. And each weapon had its own focus, which would be healing or tanking or DPS. And therefore you could make hybrid classes pretty easily. You could make a heal tank, you could make a heal DPS, you can make a DPS tank, things of that nature. So you get a little bit further from it where you get a hybrid system of some sort, but even then you're still dealing with that holy trinity of classes. And again, I don't think there's any way to get away from that. I can't really, especially if you want group play. If you don't want group play, then you just make it so that everybody can be a heal tank DPS, and you're done. Everybody just kind of rushes something all at once and presses all of their buttons and waits for all their cooldowns, and then you're done playing, which honestly is what I feel like most MMOs are anyways, which is, all right, we attack the enemy, press your buttons in this order with these cooldowns, and repeat ad nauseum until the enemy is dead. And that's why I'm not cool on MMOs. I get really bored. But I think a reward system along that line would probably need to be added in, so more people, I mean, if you've got DPSs rushing in, they get rewarded because they do all the damage, and they get all the glory for it because they're all like, oh yeah, look at my DPS, I just totally spanked them. And so you need to, there needs to be some way to balance that out with very clear moments of, here comes a giant enemy attack, and the tank does something that just takes all the damage. All of it goes onto the tank survives, and the tank gets rewarded for that because they waited, they did the timing when it was necessary, and they saved the party, and therefore they got an extra cash bonus, an extra XP bonus, an extra prize that's specifically for a tank, so that way the DPS don't feel butthurt over it, the healers don't feel butthurt over it. It's you very clearly get a tank item based off of successfully tanking. And you can do the same thing for a heal as well, where it's like, all right, the enemy does some sort of an attack and everybody's dropped down to really low HP and they're all about to die. Well, the healer uses their great power heal move or whatever, and because they're able to heal X amount of damage over X amount of, over a very short period of time, where it was very clear that you saved the party or you did some just top-notch healing, bam, here you go. You get a super cool healing item, and people are blocking my driveway so I can't back in. Fantastic neighbors. Anyways, so that I think would be the balance, is that you need to make it more rewarding to be a tank or to be a healer, because I don't see a way to get away from the holy trinity of healer, tank, DPS. And that would be my fix for the thing. But now I'm home, and I will see you. Oh, don't forget, comment below so I know what to talk about on the show, because you guys make this show. If you guys don't say anything, I don't have anything to talk about, and then I just hem and haw and stare blankly at the camera, which is not good for driving, because if I stare blankly at the camera while I'm driving, I have an accident and I die. So my life is in your hands. Comment or I die. Comment or I die. Anyways, I'll see you guys at home.